Hey cutie. Welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Laura. Hi, hello, welcome. I'm pumped but a little embarrassed today to bring you my Pan Those Eyeshadows Project Pan update. I have had a complete shift in what my priority is in my collection anymore, and it is really to use up eyeshadows lately and like really trying to see pan expansion, that kind of thing. So pan those eyeshadows and hitting pan in my eyeshadows is definitely a slower project for me anymore, which if you watched this series on my channel years ago, I hit pan so often in eyeshadows. And now I feel like I am barely scratching the surface, but I also feel like a lot of these are very impactful eyeshadows, so I don't need a whole heck of a lot of product to use. It's okay. We all pan things so differently at such different speeds. Some of us burrow into eyeshadows, some of us use the whole surface area of a pan. So this is just a gentle reminder to not compare yourself to other people and even like past you, because I am experiencing that now where past me was a hell of a hit pan in this project kind of gal, and now I'm like, I'm struggling. I'm struggling hitting pan, but that is a-okay. If you are unfamiliar, Pan Those Eyeshadows was created by Alexandra Shostin. She no longer posts on YouTube. However, this project really has taken off, and so many people do this in so many different ways. Some people are prompt-based, and they bring shadows in based on prompts by Makeup by Lainey. I will have her linked in the description box as well. Some people rotate through their whole collection. Some people hand select the shades that they want to focus on. And you guys are actually helping me this year picking the items that I'm going to hit pan on. But I'm picking roughly the shadows that I just kind of want to hit usage goals on. Josh is in the kitchen. My wall connects to the kitchen, so if you hear any of that noise, we're making bacon. So I have some items that I'm going to be rolling out today. I have some items that are going to be staying in, and that's okay too. Maybe let's start with our round singles first, because I have a devastating rollout from the month. I have 4 circular pans that I'm trying to focus on this year. 2 of them to hit pan on that you guys have helped select, and 2 that I'm just trying to reach a 10 use threshold on. And last update, we actually got to roll out and roll in 2 new 10 use items, and we get to roll out an exciting one, but it's not for an exciting reason. It's a very bummer of a reason, to be honest. So we'll just talk about that shade first. It's at the top of the list. It's the one we talked about first last time. And you'll notice a glaring difference in this pan. Yeah. This pan of eyeshadow jumped out and decided it wanted to reside on my floor. So that pan, unfortunately, is no longer with us. That was Kristen Lee Cosmetics Mother Nature. It was a really beautiful shadow. I actually was really bummed when it decided to just swan dive. Let's see if the remnants that's in this pan, I can get a swatch of this. It was a really pretty shade, and now it's no more. I have other really beautiful shades in my collection though, so yes, it was definitely a bummer. But Mother Nature, I used one more time before it swan dived off my, out of the pan. No pan hit, but pan exposed. Moving down to the shade that I liked to wear with Mother Nature. I liked to pair these in a look together. They were really easy to wear together. Mother Nature was green, and then the next shade, Meteor Storm, is a nice yellow that had some green mint kind of reflex to it. That is the shade Meteor Storm now. Last update, I had 3 uses in on this shade, and this update I have 3 more, so total of 6 uses in the project this year. I am not really seeing much progress in this shade, and to be quite honest, I have been using my finger to pick up and tap onto my lid, and I historically in the past was not a finger application kind of gal, but that definitely makes you use less product in my opinion. But I don't mind, because Meteor Storm is such a beautiful shade. It is so stunning. Meteor Storm. So pretty though. It's such like an icy yellow. Again, I know it almost kind of looks a little bit gray in maybe some angles, but that's that like teal cyan reflect that shade has. I think that's really, really beautiful. The next shade we rolled in was for a 10 use threshold. And if you know anything about my 10 uses, I base my 10 use threshold solely off my eye bank numbers, not in the numbers that I've used this year, even though I do and have that tallied separately. But I count it as like, when do I hit the 10 uses in my eye bank numbers ever? And so Sleight of Hand had 8 uses before rolling it into this project. So I only had to use it it was like 2 or 3 more times. I can't quite remember. I ended up using that one, the additional 2 or 3 more times, and I have hit 10 uses in my eye bank on the shade Sleight of Hand. Again, that was another Fantasy Cosmetica shade. I'm actually wearing that. I had the 10 use. It's tapped right on my center back lid today. It's a really malleable type of shadow, like that really soft, like putty-esque kind of formula from Fantasy Cosmetica. A little bit deeper base, but if you sheer it out, it's not dark. And that's, again, what I have on the center of my lids today. I'm also wearing the last shade, my last 10 use shadow from my round singles, and that is this shade here. That is the shade Pickle Juice. It had pan in it when we rolled it in. Both of these 10 users had pan in it, but I had to use this one so many more times. I think I only had 2 uses in my eye bank on the shade Pickle Juice, even though I know it took me 18 uses to hit pan. When this was in a Pan Those Eyeshadows years ago, it took me 18 uses. So I know I've had more than 10 uses in there, but tracked in my eye bank, because that had a start date at some point, I only have 6 currently in Pickle Juice. So why don't we just go ahead and roll my round singles? I already loaded everything into my Tiny Decisions app, so this should be super nice and quick. I'm super excited about it. So let's roll 2 shades, and you guys can pick from 2. All right, so Asteroid, oh my gosh. So lately it seems like my eyeshadows, my random wheel has had a theme. Let's just roll the second. Foxy, another one that's very similar. Maybe should I pick a couple? Yeah, I'm gonna pick a couple too, and then I'll show you guys my thoughts. Okay, so I picked 2 shades, and the random wheel selected 2 shades. So these are gonna be in the poll that you guys are gonna see after this video, like in a day or 2. The first shade that was rolled was the shade Asteroid. That is a Pretties for Your Face single. It's very similar to a shade that I'm wearing. Second randomly selected was another Pretties for Your Face shade. That's this one here. This is the shade Foxy. Again, I feel like lately my random color selection wheel has had a type. That definitely competes with my shade in my year-long project pan. I have 2 other indie shadows here in front of me. The first one that I was thinking is a Glaminatrix single. It's this shade here called Candy Egg. These are some of my oldest formulas in singles, and I definitely know that they're teetering on the older side and should probably get some well-deserved love before they go off. This is at least, I want to say like 6 years old in my collection, but that is the shade Candy Egg. Then kind of complete opposite direction, but still such a beautiful shade, and this is something that I could see myself wearing to the office quite regularly. This shade by Fantasy Cosmetica, this is the shade Book. It has some of those similar undertones that have been rolled in recently with that purple kind of reflect, but this is a holochrome, so it has so many different forms and dimensions into it, and maybe that's a little cooler tone than I should be going for this time of year. Ooh, maybe, no, I don't want that. No, it's so pretty though. It looks so cool toned, but it's so, so pretty. I also have to roll this guy out. That is a 10 use shade. So let's roll for our 10 use. And I think this, I'm just going to do a random selection and call it good from there. So let's just go ahead, and I'm going to hit this a few times. My random 10 use shade is going to be the shade Corn Maze. That is a Dandelion Cosmetics single. I think I actually got rid of that shade. I don't think I have Corn Maze anymore. It's no longer anywhere in front of me. I did not think I did that. So I can't go with Corn Maze, but... Oh, I just used this one. I just used this. This is a super pretty shade. Arcanum. This is going to be a 10 user. All right, so Arcanum is this beautiful green here. This currently sits with 3 uses in my eye bank. How exciting. A nice green. This would have been so much nicer to roll in last update so I could wear it all of March. But it's kind of a nice shade to roll in to almost replace Mother Nature. It's honestly pretty sheer, but it has such a nice dimension and different shifts to it. So I think this is going to pair really well with my Pan That palette. It's going to pair really well with this shade here from the Pan Those eyeshadows. Do I want to just put in a shade and call something to hit pan in that I think I can do? And I gotta be real, I don't want to pull in one of the randomly selected ones. I'm going to put in, I'm cheating a little bit. I'm not going to let you guys pick a shade, but the thought of having to hit pan in a purple when purple is not my favorite shade to wear all the time. I've recently been getting more into it because I've been having to. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll in this shade here. This is the shade Glaminatrix Candy Egg. It is this pink. I need to have some diversity in the shades that I'm rotating through, and I think that would be really pretty. We have Arcanum, which will be really gorgeous to reach for in the spring. I mean, I can wear all 3 of these together somehow. I feel like I can wear all 4 of these together somehow. But I'm way more inspired by this than I will be if like a purple was in there. Moving over to my rectangular pans of eyeshadow next. I'm really excited about this as well because I've been putting some real solid work into these pans of eyeshadow as well. So the first shade we'll talk about is this one here. This is the shade Carving by Clio. You voted on me hitting pan on this shade. This has become a fast favorite of mine in my collection and in my usage in general. I have really been enjoying using Carving in so many different looks. You guys have probably gotten sick of seeing Carving so much, but I have really been loving Carving. So last update we had reached for Carving 3 times, and this update I have reached for Carving 5 more times. And I do think you actually can see there is a bit of a dip forming in that shade. It really does look like I've smushed my finger in there. It's so used. I'm so happy about it, and I can't wait to continue to use it and maybe one day see pan in that shade. I know I mentioned that I possibly would roll these out after 25 uses. I don't know if I'm going to do that or if this is just going to be a project that I focus on and it's just low key and chill. And if I hit pan, I hit pan. But if I don't, that's okay too. Moving on to the other Clio shade you guys picked. That is the shade Blaze. I feel like I've barely used Blaze, and that's pretty accurate. I had used Blaze 3 times last update, and I've used Blaze another 2 times for 5 times total in this project. And it's significantly less loved looking than Clio Carving. So the one next to it looks so much more well loved than this one, which is so funny because going into it, I was like, I love Blaze so much. It's one of my favorite eyeshadows, which is still true. I absolutely love this shade of eyeshadow. And because it's in this project, I have round singles that are similar in tone that I've not given myself the permission to use because I'm like, no, you need to use Blaze. Like, just use Blaze when you want to use those. But I haven't been wanting to use Blaze because I've wanted to reach for Carving so much more. So it's just been a delicate, difficult balance of figuring out which shade I want to use right now. And again, my priority has really shifted to my Pan That palette. Moving to my 10 use shades, these were like the rejects from the voting period. The first one being this shade here called Azalea. This is from the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette. Azalea, I have only used 6 times so far in this project, and I have 4 more uses to go. I have a feeling now that we're approaching the super warm weather, I will be able to use that shade, especially with Blaze. Those 2 shades look really good together, so I definitely know I can pair those 2 together and at least get some really solid looks out of those. get the 4 more uses. And if I can get 4 uses out of this, that means 4 more uses dedicated out of this. And that's kind of my hope for those shades. Then the last shade in the palette is the shade Vision over here from the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. And my Vision actually surprised me. And I had hit my 10 uses on this shade so long ago. I think I only had 1 or 2 uses in the past month that I really needed to use Vision, and I did pretty early on, and I put it away in its palette, and I've just been focusing on other shadows. I put other Natasha Denona things in here to try to get some more use out of, and I was pulling this shade out of the My Dream palette today, and I just went, oh, I forgot how much I loved this shade, and it was such a wonderful shade to work on. I really went into it thinking like this is something that I'm probably gonna declutter, to be quite honest. And now I don't want to do that at all. I like that shade so much. I thought it was so pretty as like an outer corner kind of shade, as a lower lash line kind of shade. I just really found so much flexibility with this. I can pair it with some of these other shades as well, because this does have a green bait like flip to it, so I could pair it with carving as well and get some really cool looks that way. So I did hit 10 uses in that shade. It was very easy. I only had like 2 left, so that's something that I get to actually roll out, and I'm very excited about that. So we do get to roll at least something into my rectangular pans to try to use. And this I have no real preference on, because my Natasha Denona palettes are so neglected, so I don't mind just rolling and picking. So I have all of my midi-sized Natasha Denona palettes in here, including my newest, the Bloom palette, and the shade Sense, and I don't know what that comes from. I think that might be the Zendo palette. Okay, actually that's not bad. So Sense is this shade here, which honestly, it's kind of giving similar vibes. Only because Sense is this middle shade and it's very similar to Azalea. I am not gonna roll this in. I don't want to compete for that shade's uses. This seems like the smartest course of action, especially because this project is, I don't want to say I'm getting burnt out of this project, because that's, I mean, that is kind of exactly what's happening, but I want to keep this project exciting. So let's see what I can do to make this exciting for me. Glory, that's from the Sunrise palette. And that's a matte. You know what? I can deal with this. This should be fine. This, I can work on a matte. I'm happy working on a matte shadow. And 10 uses is not that much for a matte. All right, I am going to roll in Glory, and that is what that little quad looks like. She's actually real cute. I can wear Glory with any of the 3 shimmers in there, and I think that that would turn out into like a real cute look. And that is my new color story for April. That's exciting. This is exciting. Let me know if you think I should just make all of these 10 use goals to keep this project fresh and exciting. It would kind of change from a Pan Those Eyeshadows to a project 10 uses, but that would be okay with me, just to make sure that this is still something exciting I'm still enjoying. Let me know, or do you want to just see me end this project and start something else that helps me focus with reaching for my collection more? I would love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below, but this camera battery is about to die. I will swatch my rectangular shades in a moment and show you guys the whole color story we're working with. But I hope you guys are staying healthy, sane, and safe, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!